Hello, my name is Brayanoski.
And I'm Austin Morales, and you're watching The Inner Gamer On.
And today we'll be talking about not only the E3 exhibitor list has leaked, but E3 is going to be a very different E3 this year because Geoff Keighley has announced that he will not be participating in this year's E3. The E3 Coliseum is no more, and we have some thoughts about this. So let's jump in.
And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and bang that bell because we know you want to.
All right, next story. This is really interesting. E3 is coming before long. Like we have it coming up this year, but the factor of it being a big, huge event as it has been in years past is getting less and less obvious as it was in previous years.
And
like
this is big.
It's real big. So we already know that E3, Sony has announced again this year that they are pulling out of E3. They're not pulling out. They're just not doing E3 again.
Mm-hmm.
They felt like it wasn't the right space for them, and they're going to be present at other things to drum up excitement and talk more about their game or their console, their hardware. In addition to that, Geoff Keighley just announced that he is now not participating in the show.
Boom.
And he, since 2017, has put on and produced the E3 Coliseum, which is their behind the scenes, always streaming almost, like in-depth interview, conversation, panel discussion, talk that goes on in between conferences with people during E3.
Great stuff comes out of that.
Not happening. Like last year, they had freaking Elon Musk and freaking what's his name? Bethesda guy, Todd Howard, on the same stage talking about video games. That was badass.
You don't get that anywhere else.
Yeah, you don't get that anywhere else. But now you're not going to get it anywhere because it's not happening. So this is a big deal. So he has come out and said, quote, "For the past 25 years, I have attended every E3. Covering, hosting, and sharing E3 has been a highlight of my year, not to mention a defining part of my career. I've debated what to say about E3 2020. While I want to support the developers who will showcase their work, I also need to be open and honest with you, the fans, about precisely what to expect from me. I have made the difficult decision to decline to produce E3 Coliseum. For the first time in 25 years, I will not be participating in E3. And he also he said in an email to Polygon that he wanted to let people know what to expect or not before the ESA started selling tickets. So the ESA wasn't saying that there's no E3. He's coming out transparently saying like, hey, by the way, if you're buying a ticket, this won't be there.
It's not a deciding factor for me that Geoff Keighley's not going to be there. But for him to say that, I feel like some people do go there just to see him or, I don't know. I don't know if you can see him or, I don't even think you can attend like the Coliseum. It's just his own little thing he produces.
No, you can attend it.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, if you're a public ticket buyer, you can go and attend the Coliseum.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which, I mean, I want to do it the year we were there, but their lines were so freaking long that I want to play these games too. But yeah, the Coliseum is open to people if they want to come in. I mean, it's limited seating, but you can come and attend that component of the thing. It's got me concerned about what is going to be going down with E3 this year. Because ever since they added the public component of it, I feel like less and less people in the game space are jumping into it. Because I think everybody's been concerned, and I was listening to Game Informer talk about this just recently, and they were saying that like they aren't as excited about E3 anymore, and they have been covering it since like Andy McNamara, the editor-in-chief of Game Informer, has been at every E3 since its inception, and it's been like the biggest thing for him. And now he's like, I don't really think E3 even, I mean, in a way, he's more or less said that they don't really need to exist anymore because there's the space has changed. Like there's YouTube, there's Twitch, and all these game companies now have the ability to reach their audiences without the requirements of paying buku's amounts of dollars to the ESA to have a booth set up there.
Right.
And that's interesting. And Geoff Keighley came out and said that when it comes to will he be covering in any way, he said that he's still figuring out plans with YouTube for this year. And he said, and this is the interesting part to me, is I just don't really feel, this is a quote, I just don't really feel comfortable participating given what I know about this show as of today. Fuck.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, I think we covered it last year sometime. They were talking about they're going to focus on, what's the right term? People in the community, influencers are going to be out there. and potentially doing ads in lines and stuff to try to market stuff. So it's a tale of two sons or two cities or whatever. You got E3, which originally was for the industry, and now it's for the public. So not only was it crowded before, it's even more crowded now. You have to wait in line for days just to play something if you're not press. And even if you're press, I'm sure there's, you have to set up a time slot and run through all these different things across.
I've heard even with press is still time. Unless you're like top tier press that gets like, they have meetings scheduled where they like get behind closed doors kind of access. Like you're still not going to get everything. Yeah. Which sucks.
Yeah. And so it's just they've tried to evolve it into something interesting, and I think it's a good way to go. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I want E3 to exist, but good points have been brought up with that. Yeah, it's just I don't know how they can go forward with it. There's too many people who want to go to that, and there's not enough. There's not a big enough space for it.
Well, I think what they could do, what I think would be good for them, is to set up a thing where, like this, just throwing this out there, like what if they had, instead of having the one time of the year that you get a hype for E3, they split it into two. And one of them is, this is for press, this is for industry, this is for conferences, this is the big announcements at the beginning of the year or early, like first 2 quarters. And then towards the middle, second half of the year, that's like a public event exclusively. And it's like, you saw the big shit that we had to announce at the beginning of the year, now come and play it before it comes out to the public. Yeah. So buy a ticket, come and play it. The devs will be there. They'll have big booths set up. They'll have panel discussions, in-depth conversations, Coliseum style stuff, right? All that stuff. But the press stuff is still there exclusively to the press early in the year, just split up into 2 pieces. Yeah. And that way your name, the E3 brand, is there twice a year. That's kind of like what we've experienced with like, you look to E3 for the big game announcements, and then you look to Gamescom for the follow-up to that stuff. Well, E3 could also do that here in the States, and that can be like, the follow-up can be, here's all the cool shit that's come along since then, and make that open to the public.
Everyone's waiting to release stuff at Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show now. Yeah. Like, those are like the bigger ones for some reason, like all of a sudden.
Yeah, I
don't know why.
I think it's just because E3 has been struggling to find their identity, and it's like what I just said, like breaking that up might help that a little bit, but right now it's like there's not enough focus on publishers and developers at these shows, but there's also not enough focus on the public, catering to them and their needs that they want at the show. And who knows, maybe there's some internal politics that are also causing some drama there, and that's why people are going to like Tokyo Game Show and Gamescom, because they're more all-inclusive. And that's one thing that, Geoff Keighley mentioned in here was, he said that E3 needs to be more digital, global, and inclusive in its approach to connecting gamers and celebrating the industry. It's not really about who buys a booth on the show floor. Anyone who participated in a digital event, basically it's just not about who buys a booth on the show floor. So it needs to be beyond like, hey, you're here on the floor, like let's welcome everybody and have them be a part of this, whether you're there or not.
Well, I'm kind of thinking it's more about the money now. It's like, how are we going to sell tickets? How are we going to get people here? Yeah. What makes it more exciting? If you're a small indie developer,
but they're just like doing a bad job of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that's like they like said, hey, let's open it up to like sell tickets. And they're like, that's a great way to get people there. And initially it worked fine the first year to be like, oh, finally E3's open to the public. I can come without like getting a badge. But then they never did anything to make it like have any added value for the public. Right. It was just, they were met with long ass lines and locked out from a lot of situations that were there. Yeah. Like you can't go to a press conference. You couldn't do any of that. Like the big stuff that you were used to seeing captured live on streams and YouTube and stuff like that, or game trailers back in the day. So it's totally different.
Yeah, I agree.
So they definitely need to make some adjustments a little bit.
I don't know where they go from here.
And what do you think about that split idea? Like, I think that's like a good answer for that. It's just like, let's make it 2 things instead of 1.
I agree, but I think maybe it should be the same week. Like the first 3 days is press, and then the last 3 days is public.
Oh, that's kind of what it is now, though, and it doesn't work. So it's like, I mean, because that is what it is. Like the first, yeah, because the press starts on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is all press conferences and behind closed door stuff, and then the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are show floor open days, and that's when you go and play the games that you just heard about. And it's like, again, it's open to the public for that part, and you have press people plus public people all there in the same space, and it's like not catering one to the other. Like, because there's people there for business meetings while there's also public there to engage with a game.
Yeah.
But I think instead separate that out and leave business meetings to business meetings at another time, and then have this part be bring your street team to represent your game company and be there for the public, not, Hideo Kojima or whoever trying to like shuffle through public crowds to get to their next business meeting to talk about business.
Well, then I don't understand what they're doing, because, I mean, the first 3 days press, why don't you just have all the business meetings then? Why are you trying to fit it in with the public? Yeah, because you see a lot of people just walking around. Yeah. You could tell, like, they're business people. Yeah. It's like, well, why are you here right now? This is for the public. Like, you're kind of wasting your time. You're wasting everyone else's time.
Well, it's because E3, that's just the way they've bid it. That's why I was like, separated out completely. So there's two separate entities that exist.
I mean, it could work, but I guess my thought is like it's going to be a lot of money to set it all up for one time during the year, and then break it down, and then set it all up again second time during the year.
Well, the first part of the year doesn't have to be a big setup, because it's just like press. I mean, it's just industry people. So like, you wouldn't have to have the big, huge booths and the big, huge like epic productions. Like, all you need is a bunch of rooms where people come and like play all these badass games. And then when you open up to the public, that's when you have the big, huge like expos and like cool sets and showcases and stuff like that. Because press don't really care about the fact that, hey, you got a badass booth here. I mean, press can be there to like cover the floor, but they don't have. But that's like for the public part of it. Yeah, I don't know. I think that could work really. That could work better, just because it's like so much more. I don't know. I like that split. But other than that, I mean, they don't change anything now. That's probably just gonna keep dying off. Yeah, to where it doesn't exist anymore. So
we'll see. Yeah. We'll see.